Have you ever studied for hours, feel like you've got everything locked in, then, a day later, it's like your brain just deleted it all? Yeah, same. It's frustrating, right? But what if I told you there's a way to actually remember what you study without cramming or feeling overwhelmed? Today we're going deep into memory-boosting techniques that will make studying way easier and more effective. If you want to ace your exams without pulling all-nighters, keep watching. By the end of this video, you'll have a step-by-step system to remember what you study for the long run. So grab your notebooks and let's get started. Segment 1. Why do we forget? Before we get into solutions, let's talk about why we forget things in the first place. Ever heard of the forgetting curve? It's a concept from German psychologist Hermann Ebbinghaus. Basically, after you learn something, you start forgetting it almost immediately. In fact, after just 1 hour, you'll have forgotten about 50% of what you studied. After a day, that number jumps to 70%. And within a week, you might only remember 10% of it. But don't worry. The good news is, we can fight this curve using proven study techniques that help reinforce information in your brain. Let's go step by step. Segment 2. The number 1 technique. Active recall. The biggest mistake students make? Just rereading notes. It feels productive, but it's actually one of the worst ways to study. Your brain tricks you into thinking you know something just because you've seen it before. Instead, you need to use active recall, forcing your brain to remember information without looking at it. Here's how you can do it. Flashcards. Write questions on one side, answers on the other, and quiz yourself. Cover and recite. Read a section, cover it, then try to say or write down what you remember. Ask yourself questions. Instead of rereading, try to recall key points and write them down from memory. If you can't recall something, that's actually a good thing. It means your brain is working to strengthen that memory. The more effort it takes to recall, the better you'll remember it in the long run. Segment 3. Spaced repetition. Study less, remember more. Ever cram the night before a test, only to forget everything right after? That's because cramming forces your brain to store information in short-term memory instead of moving it into long-term memory. The fix? Spaced repetition. Here's how it works. Review within 24 hours of learning something. Review again in 3 days. Then again in a week. Then in a month. This method interrupts the forgetting curve and helps lock information in your long-term memory. Apps like Anki and Quizlet make this super easy by reminding you when to review each topic. Segment 4. Teaching others. The best test for your memory. Want to know if you really understand something? Try teaching it to someone else. It could be a friend, a sibling, or even your pet, it doesn't matter. If you struggle to explain it in simple terms, you probably don't know it as well as you thought. Teaching forces your brain to organize information clearly and makes it easier to remember. Segment 5. Mnemonics and memory tricks. Mnemonics are memory shortcuts that help you store information using patterns. Here are some examples. Acronyms, like PEMDAS for math, parentheses, exponents, etc. Rhymes and songs, turn info into a song. Ever used the ABC song? Memory palace. Imagine storing info in different rooms of a house and walking through it to recall details. Your brain loves visuals, so use them. Segment 6. Note-taking the right way. If your notes are just pages of text, you're making studying harder than it needs to be. Try these techniques. Cornell method. Divide your page into key points, details, and a summary. Mind maps. Draw connections between ideas instead of writing in paragraphs. Color coding. Use different colors for definitions, formulas, and key ideas. Segment 7. Sleep and breaks. The secret to locking in information. Your brain actually processes and stores what you studied while you sleep. Aim for at least 7 to 9 hours to boost memory. And don't study for hours non-stop. Use the Pomodoro technique. Study for 25 to 30 minutes. Take a 5-minute break. Repeat. Breaks help your brain absorb information better. Alright, let's do a quick recap. Use active recall. Don't just reread. Quiz yourself. Teach someone else. If you can explain it, you truly understand it. Use mnemonics. Turn info into acronyms, rhymes, or visuals. Take smart notes. Structure your notes in a way that makes reviewing easy. Sleep and take breaks. Your brain needs time to process what you learn. Now, I challenge you to try at least one of these techniques this week and tell me how it worked in the comments. See you next time.